Currently, at least 15 major fires are burning in California, and that includes the Holy Fire in Orange County.
And joining us on the phone, storm tracker Will Wilkins, or rather via Skype or some other internet-based video platform here. And Will, thank you so much for joining us. Can you give us an idea of what it's like there for you right now?
Well, it's best way I could describe it, Ron, is apocalyptic. The sky is very dark, brown, with an orange glow, and ash is raining down like a snowstorm.
So how bad is this fire, and how close is it to you?
Currently, the latest update is that there is 4,129 acres roughly burned, but I'm sure that that's going to be a lot higher when you do another survey today. The closest the fire line is located in my position is about 2 miles. I am currently just east of the main fire line, which is coming down the hill, and the perimeter of my community is about a mile up, and then the fire line is about a mile up.
All right, thank you so much for your perspective and your firsthand accounts. Will Wilkins there joining us from California. And to hear that, Leon, the apocalyptic description, that's how he described it as being apocalyptic, with you can imagine the smell with the smoke, and he mentioned the ash coming down, and how quiet and unsettling that would be as the ash settles down to the
And you
ground.
could see it so far. I mean, I was in Temecula just yesterday, and we drove past it, and or you could see it out in the distance, the Holy Fire, and just all that smoke. And then you can also tell that it's still burning because of the color of the smoke.
And joining us now to talk about this and give us another account of what's going on, Will Wilkins, who's living real close to the fire area. And we also understand we have a camera from your location as well. Can you kind of walk us through what you're seeing, smelling, and maybe even tasting in the air?
Yes. Well, in our last discussion, I had described the scene as apocalyptic, and that still stands. In fact, it has gotten worse in the last hour. There are new hotspots that are exploding and causing an increase in the threat for mandatory evacuations. So my camera right now, where I'm sitting right now is actually in my garage, and I have my garage door open. And the reason why I'm here is because I have a very, very dramatic scene right in front of me. If I was to spin my laptop around, you would actually see it. But my camera that you're probably looking at right now is actually seeing that, showing that scene. It's horrific, and it's very frightening. I will tell you that. I am within 2 miles of the line that's coming down, but the top of my community is about a mile from it. So we are in a very scary situation right now.
And what worries me the most, especially your view that we're looking at right now, is the palm tree that is blowing in the wind. Now, how have the winds been for you, experiencing it and being so close to the fire? Are there times where the wind is blowing all that smoke away from you, or is it blowing towards you?
Now, that's a really good question, because that was a topic of discussion among myself and my neighbors, is how we've noticed the winds being very, erratic. We would at times see the smoke plume move to the west, and then all of a sudden it would start blowing toward the east, and then it would start blowing to the north. Down here at the surface, the winds are actually very, very, very light, but they have been shifting directions almost by the minute. Sometimes we would feel a very warm breeze coming from the south, and then with the monsoon flow, now ironically the monsoon flow is starting to move in, and we've got tropical clouds coming from the east. At times we will actually feel the wind coming from the east. That takes the smoke plume toward the west, and then everything calms down and everything starts moving toward the east again. So it's been an unbelievable, weird situation here.
You mentioned ash falling from the sky. Are you worried that there could be some hot embers falling from the sky?
That's a really good thing to bring up, because at times we have noticed that some of the embers that have been coming down have been warm. Very, very large embers have, now I'm reaching forward because I wanted to show you something. This right here is an example of some of the stuff that has been falling out of the sky. Large branches, large leaves, I mean large material is raining down from the sky. And some of it is still warm to the touch. So it's been a big concern of whether or not some of this stuff is going to ignite further downstream from the actual fire line that's currently in place at the moment.
Now, I was just in Temecula, California yesterday, and I grew up in Southern California. And now, growing up there, you know that fires are always a danger. But what is it going to take for you and your family to evacuate?
Well, really what it is that you got to think about what essential items are valuable to you. You know, your pictures, your financial documents, important electronics such as your computers, of course, hard drives, backup hard drives that have your data, including your financial records, those things like that. Clothing, because if you're going to be evacuated and not be able to return for several days or even a week or more, you're going to need to pack up enough clothing to maintain yourself for a long period of time. So that's what we have done.
Will, we want to thank you for your perspective. And if you wouldn't mind, we'd like to talk to you again in just a couple of minutes, if you wouldn't mind hanging around.
You're staying with us through the break. Storm Tracker Will Wilkins is now with us.
He lives in the area, not too far away from the Holy Fire in California, which is burning right along the border of Orange County and Riverside County. We're looking at Riverside County right there. And Will's kind enough to join us once again to give us some of the perspective of what's been going on, how things have developed. Concern now about wind direction, concern about what may be falling from the sky, warm if not hot embers, which does have the potential of starting new fires. Will, if you're with us again as we look at your camera live here at that fire, can you give us an idea of kind of how things developed, kind of walk us through, what it was like finding out there was a fire nearby, and then kind of what you've seen as it developed?
The way it started was I think it was Monday. It started out like any other day. It was very, very, very extremely hot. We were concerned about having record temperatures again. Roughly about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I was outside my house and had not noticed anything unusual. Within about 30 minutes, 45 minutes, we had noticed this eerie orange glow outside the window of our home. And we're like, what the heck was that? Went outside, and this mushroom cloud was right over the mountain just to our south. That was the start of everything. It was an unbelievable sight, something I had never seen before. After that point, the fire had exploded almost 1,000 acres within the first hour. By about 3 p.m., things were starting to get, really, really scary. By that first night, the fire was already cresting what they call the main divide up on the mountains. And so all through yesterday was a slow progression of the fire coming downhill toward our community. We live in the community of Horse Thief Canyon, which is right between Corona and Lake Elsinore in unincorporated Temescal Valley. And last night, or yesterday afternoon, approximately 3:30 p.m., the fire completely exploded and started racing, and here we are today.
And, well, I mean, I was just in that area yesterday, and I was in Temecula, and I could see the Holy Fire from Temecula, so you could just see that plume of smoke. And
Yes.
You can see that it's so dark, and so it's an indication that it is burning. Now, have any of your neighbors, friends, or family that live in the area, have any of them evacuated? And if so, are you also prepared to evacuate if needed?
There's quite a few people in the community that have volunteered to evacuate. Yesterday evening, there was a steady stream of vehicles, pickup trucks, vehicles with trailers, basically, doing an exodus out of here. I don't know how many. There's quite a few people that live in this community, 1,000 homes. Maybe more than that, I don't know the exact number, but quite a few have left, and there's still a lot here. But the neighbors on my street were all prepared. I've been, talking with them all day yesterday and today, and we're all packed. We are ready to go if we have to. A little bit of get ourselves organized and getting out. But we're ready to go if we have to.
What sort of firefighting efforts have you seen from your perspective?
Well, that's the interesting thing. There's been mostly air attack. Yesterday, they have been using just all air attack. The DC-10, the 747 super tanker was here. Smaller aircraft. Unfortunately, today there has been no aircraft in the air. It has been eerily quiet and silent. One spotter plane took a run around the community, and that was it. There is no aircraft in the air at the moment.
And we're looking at your live footage. This is your view outside of your home of the Holy Fire in Riverside County. It's right along the border of Riverside and Orange County in Southern California. But what is really catching my eye is the fact that the winds are really starting or seeming to pick up. We're noticing the palm fronds that's just on the top side of your screen right here. It's blowing a lot more intensely than the past 20 minutes ago. And also the tree, even outside beyond that tree. Now, do you have any inclination as far as like, is that blowing the smoke towards you or is that away from you?
It's actually blowing the smoke somewhat towards us. It's really bizarre. If you're looking at the camera, just off to the left, that direction is east. And there's a very sharp delineation in that smoke plume, and everything to the right, which is the west, is extremely dark and black. It almost looks like a severe thunderstorm right over us. That's just the best way I can describe it right now. So the plume actually migrates a little to the east, and then it kind of shifts a little to the west.
Will Wilkins, thank you so much for your perspective. We are thinking about you and we'll be checking in with you. We hope everything works out. Unfortunately, very close right there in Southern California to the Holy Fire.
We're going to take a live look at the Holy Fire. That's in Riverside County, California. This is a zoomed in look, and you can see the plume of smoke distinctly on the right-hand side of your screen. This is courtesy from our storm tracker, Will Wilkins, who lives this close to the fire. And it's definitely not blue skies, not gray skies that you're looking at. You're looking at orange tinted skies, smoke filled skies that are dotting the landscape right here. You also notice the trees blowing just to the right side of your screen as well. And it does look like, Chris, it does look like that the wind has kind of let up and the smoke may not be necessarily coming straight towards them because of how distinct and how clear that plume is off to the right.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is there's that vertical line.
Yep.
The smoke doesn't appear to be bent over to the side. So you're looking, I think what Leon is talking about is right there, right? That's what you're saying, right?
Yep.
The fact that there is an edge. Even though there's smoke over here, if the wind was blowing really hard, say in that direction, the smoke would be doing that. But instead, it is rising like that, which is, probably what you'd want to see, and not super strong winds. And again, you don't see the wind, but you can see what the wind blows. And the trees are not going nuts right now. They're just kind of waffling around. So you're seeing the smoke right there. And this is also the smoke. So here's Riverside County and Orange County right there, and pretty much right along the border. And what I want to focus on right now, this is throughout most of the day today. Just sit right in there. So we're going to watch this loop again. And while you see that the dull kind of look to most of this, for a second there you get a couple of blips of white. And oftentimes that's an indication there's maybe an actual cloud being developed here because of the heat from the fire forcing the air to rise, and whatever moisture is in the air gets up to a point where it can cool and condense and actually turn into a cloud. That would be a pyrocumulus cloud, the fire creating the cloud.
Yeah, and I mean, what I also want to point out too is the fact that we're looking at is like almost a canyon. So there's a lot of canyons throughout Southern California, and there's the fire on the right-hand side that Chris is highlighting.
To talk about the canyon, sorry to interrupt, but I'm going to draw on this for you, and correct me if I'm doing it wrong, but I want to highlight the mountains in order to kind of show you the lower elevations, right?
Yeah,
that's what you're saying, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in that, you can have really erratic winds that are the worst situation for fires. We'll continue this conversation next. Now we head to Southern California. Currently, at least 15 major fires are burning across the state, and that includes the Holy Fire in Riverside County.
And joining us is Storm Tracker Will Wilkins, who also lives there. He lives in the area, and area that You can see actually from where you are. Well, you've told us that you're in your garage and you can look out and actually see the smoke. Can you kind of give us an idea of what it's like to be living so close to the fire, and maybe kind of explain what video and what pictures just can't quite capture?
Well, living close to the fire is absolutely a scary situation. This is probably, in the 15 years that I've lived in this community, this is the worst fire situation that this community itself has experienced ever. It's very scary. Right now, if you're looking at my screen, we're looking due south, literally right in front of me, and this area that has blown up in the last 30 minutes is threatening to come over that ridge and right down into the community. So just in a nutshell, it's really scary, and words really cannot describe it other than the word I've been repeatedly using, apocalyptic.
Absolutely. I mean, we're looking at the live image from your home right now in Riverside County. Now, on the left-hand side of your screen, have you seen any peaks of blue sky? It almost looks like a little hint of blue sky in the far left corner. It could be also just brightening.
Well, you know, it is. It's probably the last vestige of blue sky that I have. A little bit further down toward the horizon, yeah, it's blue. But since the last time we had spoke, there has been a major shift in the wind's direction. The winds are now coming out of the west and blowing everything to the east. It's taken the entire smoke plume and shifted it also to the east. Everything has gotten very, very dark. The sun is blocked out. It's turning like a glowing orange right now. And the winds are, I've got a weather station sitting on my roof, and the winds are blowing about 10 miles an hour from the west. Temperature right now is at my house is 91 degrees, which is a huge departure from the last 24 hours. We were like 104 yesterday. So, you know, this is partially due to the fact that the sun, you know, is blocked out by the smoke. So.
Well, with the fire that close, are you able to get any sleep at night?
I did not get one wink of sleep Monday night into Tuesday. Last night, I was so exhausted that about 1 a.m., even though the fire was much more dramatic, I literally just passed out and got about 5 hours sleep. So fortunately, the fire did not do any major surprises during that time, because I would not have been happy about that.
And well, your location, it almost looks like it's a canyon. Now, there are many canyons throughout Southern California, and of course the firefighters, that's one of the worst things about Southern California is because the canyons can lead to very erratic winds. Now, with the winds moving out towards the east, you have a westerly wind coming in, you mentioned. Now, how is that impacting you and your neighborhood?
Well, it's impacting it probably a lot more significantly than it did in the last few hours, because the forward motion of the fire has also shifted along with that. You know, as I said, the view is south, but the fire is trying to, you know, peek over that ridge line. So the impact is that it's potentially taking the fire now as a direct hit into my community.
All right, Will Wilkins, thank you so much for taking time to share your perspective and share the video with us here. And we're hoping for the very best for you. Can only imagine just how scary that is to look off on the horizon and see that smoke.
Absolutely, and unfortunately, more wildfires are in the picture and not much rain. We'll take a look at the forecast for the West next.
Right now, Weather Center Live, following an ongoing story here in Southern California in Riverside County. We're looking at the massive holy fire that is burning just about 2 miles away from where this camera is showing us this scene of that smoke going up into the air, about a mile away from the neighborhood, estimated by the person whose camera this is. This is Will Wilkins. He spoke with us a few moments ago and has been speaking with us, giving us an update on the fire. It looks like, wow, did you see that on the right-hand side, right on the horizon? I don't know if you saw that, Leon, like a flare-up. Or, yeah, you see that right there?
You can see it.
Right
see
at the
active
peak.
flames.
Yeah,
Wow.
active flames right there. So if you can see it from a couple miles away, you can imagine how high and how hot that fire is burning. Other clues that we're looking at, the wind seemed to be picking up just a little bit here on the right-hand side of your screen, and those are the trees, blowing around a little bit. Not real strong winds picking up right now, but nonetheless a little bit out there. And Will was telling us that they were seeing ash falling where he lives, and big enough pieces of charred material, small leaves and whatnot, that were still warm, which is definitely disconcerting, because one of the ways these fires spread is essentially hot coals or hot embers from the fires that go wafting up into the air. They can spot other fires. They can land somewhere else and create new fires. So again, a live look right now at just one of many of the fires burning right now across the West.
We're taking a live view of a very scary scene of the holy fire. We're going to start off with this scary view. And this is a live view right in Riverside County. This is from our storm tracker, Will Wilkins, who's there. This is a view from his home. He's only a mile away, a couple miles away.
He said his neighborhood's a mile away, the edge of his neighborhood. But
Yeah.
for where he is, he's thinking about 2 miles away.
But still, look at how bad this is getting. And it's actually...
Well, here's the
worse.
edge of the heaviest smoke. Here is the hill. Just follow my finger right up here. And just a few moments ago, if you were watching us live, and we might be seeing it again right now, we could see the flare up. And you know what?
It looks like it's getting a lot more
As we look right now, I'm trying to figure out if this is the monitors or not. Do you see these little dots, Liana? I wonder if we're seeing some ash here as well. It's hard to say. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at this. And so you can see where the edge of the
live fires, near the center part of the screen right there, sort of.
where there's the darker smoke. Do you see how you have the whole ridge line, and there's a point right by where the trees are? There's a little bit darker plumes of smoke. I think that's where the hot spots are right now, because we did, very near there, we did see, look at some birds, we did see some distinct red. And as we look at the visible satellite again,
Oh,
we look at the visible.
Here we go. Here's the live satellite imagery.
You can kind of see like these little blips of white.
Yep.
And that's an indication of a quick flare up, which can send a lot of hot air up into the atmosphere, which also has a way of bringing up that air that has moisture in it. When you get some actual clouds, they're called pyrocumulus clouds.
Yeah, and they can essentially almost form their own weather, but what you're also seeing is just some really intense flames that are popping up, and it's really intense smoke. But we're right on the border of Orange County and the Inland Empire, Riverside County, and this fire, you can see it, just how much smoke is filling this valley area right here. Temecula is right at the end of that valley.
And if you're watching us from Los Angeles, that is smoke that is heading your way. If the sky's looking a little bit more hazy, you might be able to smell it. But the wind is taking some of that smoke right up and into downtown Los Angeles.
Now, currently, at least 15 major fires are burning in California, and that includes the Holy Fire at the border of Orange and Riverside counties.
And joining us right now, very close to there, storm tracker Will Wilkins, who is also a resident there and can actually see the fire and the smoke right out the front door. And Will, thanks again for taking the time to speak with us. We've talked to you a couple times in the past few hours here. Has anything changed since we started talking to you?
Well, what has changed is the forward momentum of the fire moving to the east and northeast. On my live stream that I have, the fire plume is growing tremendously, and there is also what also has changed is that the possibility of a mandatory evacuation of my community is likely. Just got a Facebook post from our county supervisor. And I'll quote what he said, and this is a public post. He says, "Our office is getting word that mandatory evacuations are likely to be announced very soon from Horsley back to McVicker." So McVicker is the community that is just adjacent to us to the southeast.
Oh, no, I mean, we are so sorry to hear that news for you. Now, what about the battle? Have you seen any planes, what's the firefight like? Have you seen anything?
Well, unfortunately, and I'm not sure, someone's someone high up is probably going to have to confirm this, but there has been no aerial assault activity the entire day today. At least in the area where I live, I have observed not a single plane except for one spotter plane and a small helicopter circle around. So unfortunately, we're not getting any air activity in this area, and I've seen some movement of fire trucks. And what I understand is they're just getting into position for structure protection. So that's where it's at right now.
What are you preparing to do?
Well, if we have to, we're going to try to get out safely. We're going to take it just play by ear. If the mandatory evacuations happen, I've got my family here, and we'll just try to figure out where we're going to go.
Oh my goodness, yes. I mean,
Yeah.
it's very unfortunate to hear this, and we've been with you on this journey, watching as the smoke has been, just kind of getting larger and larger. Now, as far as the conditions in your area, I mean, we noticed the wind isn't really doing that much on your live view on the left-hand side of our screen, and it looks almost like the smoke is just filling up the air. But what is very ominous is how much smoke we do see in your view. Now, tell us what it's like there. Tell us the smell. I mean, everyone knows that scent of just burning wildlife, and I mean, can you describe what it is like sitting in that area?
It smells real bad. It smells like, for lack of a better description, a barbecue gone out of control. It's very difficult to breathe. I'm not wearing a face mask, but I should, because every now and then I'm actually inhaling some material and it's causing me to cough. When vehicles drive by, it's just a cloud of white dust that just gets kicked up. It's very brown outside. The sun is being blocked out. Every now and then the glow of the sun appears. There's an orange cast among everything. It looks and smells very bad.
We just have a few seconds left. How concerned are you about falling embers?
Right now, the embers. Right now, it's pretty impressive. It's like snowing. It's like snowing ashes. Currently, the ashes. There's nothing burning that's falling down. But the closer the fire gets, I'm concerned that there may be some burning embers mixed in with it. So we'll have to see.
Well, Wilkins, our thoughts are with you as the holy fire continues to burn across Orange and Riverside County. Thank you again for joining us. Be safe, and we'll have continuing coverage next.
This is Weather Center Live, and right now this is a live look coming from Riverside County in California. This is south of Los Angeles. There's Los Angeles County. South of Los Angeles County is Orange County, and just to the east of there is Riverside County. And right along the border with Orange County and Riverside County is where this fire is erupting, right on that ridge top right there. And every once in a while on the hillside here, we've been able to see that there is a flare-up. We can actually see the flames. And every once in a while, we also, I think we can see some of the ash coming down. We did speak with Will Wilkins, the person who is shooting this video, providing this video for him. It's from his home, and concerns now for Will that they may have to evacuate, getting word that a nearby neighborhood may have to. And as we're looking right now, we can see the smoke. And look at a couple dark spots within the overall plume. Smaller, but right on the ridge top there. Haven't seen any actual flames for a while, but still, Will saying that the smoke is extremely thick, and at times the ash is coming down like a light snowfall. And unfortunately, this right here is a reminder of just how many people, how many homes. This is one view, and imagine just how many different people in each one of these homes in this neighborhood, and all of the neighborhoods across California and across the West that are looking off. Instead of going for a nice walk in the afternoon, spending time with family, they're looking out their front door, their back door, and seeing smoke and wondering if their home is even going to be there in a couple of days. So unfortunately, right now, this is an all too real of a reality for so many people right now here in Southern California and across much of the West. And of course, here at the Weather Channel, we are committed to helping tell the story of what they're going through and trying to give a little perspective and share some insight to what's happening with the weather, because it plays such a huge role with the way the fire behaves.
Absolutely, Chris.